Though it could officially be considered a diplomatic conference, I prefer to see our meeting today as an ordinary tea party. I assume you see it the same way, Miss Furina? Lady Furina?
Yes, that's right. Just like you said, a tea party. I should thank you for providing the pastries. They look delectable. To make this tea party even more lively, I've invited someone else to join us today.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Monsieur Neuvillette. I was born in Fontaine, so naturally, there's no need to introduce the nation's revered Eudex to me.
Hello. The pleasure is also mine.
First, I would like to thank the two of you. I'm often away on business outside of Fontaine, and I'm told that the children of the House of the Hearth have been well taken care of by you. Oh, I'm not referring to when my children, Linny and Lynette, were falsely accused by you. Please don't misunderstand. The children of the House of the Hearth are often misunderstood, perhaps due to the reputation of the fatui. There's no getting around that. All I meant to say is that Fontaine has been stable in recent years. That is something truly worth cherishing. And
Now then, you have come regarding the matter of Childe.
well, yes. It appears the ever-busy Eudex Nuvi... Yes, as you surmised, understanding Childe's situation is indeed one of the goals of this trip. As we are both diplomats from Snezhnaya as well as Fatui harbingers, Childe and I have always been colleagues. Were anything to happen in Fontaine, each of us would serve as the other's attorney to resolve the issue. So now, in my capacity as his attorney, I request that Childe be turned over to Snezhnaya. We have a responsibility to cooperate with Fontaine and resolve what has happened to him together.
The rules governing attorneys only apply before a trial has concluded. Since a verdict has already been rendered, we see the case as settled. I apologize for being
An outright refusal. Very well. I respect all the rules of Fontaine. Okay, why don't we back up? You don't need to transfer Childe to us. I only request to enter the fortress of Meripede to see Childe. It's not like you couldn't even manage to fulfill a simple request like that.
About that.
The fortress of Meripede has always been completely autonomous. Even we have no authority to interfere there, and diplomatic issues do not suffice as... However, if you absolutely must confirm the situation of the...
Oh, so you two are the honored guests, Miss Furina.
Of course. How could they not attend a meeting such as this? I must always have 2 or more guests at my dessert table. Otherwise, the occasion would be too lonely.
It is my pleasure to make your acquaintance, traveler. I have heard much of your accomplishments. I am the Knave, one of the 11 Fatui harbingers.
I've already prepared seats for you.
Perhaps you two are unaware of how Miss Furina and I do things. You see, we actually recently agreed to get together for tea when we had the time. See this? This is a limited type of confectionery that Miss Furina simply adores. There are only 16 slices sold every day. Here.
Traveler, what do you think of this cake?
That's good to hear. So what Childe said was on the mark after all. You do share a taste. I wonder how he's doing nowadays. You must have heard, right? He's suddenly gone missing.
Since we're talking about him, I feel like I should add something. His martial...
Oh, so you're also familiar with his aptitude for fighting, Miss Furina. right. I almost forgot. Child against ordinary people, my colleague would never be on the back foot. But alas, he just never imagined he'd run into such a person. Coming from you, that's not surprising at all.
But I thought you would be happier to hear the news.
Of course, but it's still a bit of a shame. You see, I would have been far happier had I received this new...
Well, in any case, there's...
Oh. And...
Because...
And where did he go after leaving the fortress?
Well...
The fortress of Meripede lies deep beneath the waves, unless he pranced right out of the main gate. Ah, that is good news at least. His sister Tonya sent a letter to Fontaine not too long ago. Since he was unfortunately unavailable, do you have any idea how he usually writes back to his family? Dear Tonya, your letter made me feel like we were still enjoying our time in Snezhnaya together. I'm currently admiring the scenery on the streets and...
All letters tend to follow the same few formats anyway, right? As long as the contents are
Hold on. The water in the teacup...
I suppose this is also a sign of...
I don't quite...
Have we entered into the next stage? I must say, we've spent long enough playing house. Miss Furina, as the Hydro Archon, I am sure you understand the exact meaning of the phenomenon we just witnessed. Or should I say, that's what I...
What are you trying to say?
At this point, I don't think there's any more need to speak as diplomatic representatives. Allow me to speak to you now as just a Fontainian. You know the prophecy by heart, and also that every part of it is being proven yet. Here you are, relaxing, drinking tea, and eating desserts as if it's all nothing more than a few stray bugs in your garden. The prophecy's hanging above our necks like a guillotine. Every faction is looking for a way to either avert the disaster or save their own. Even the orphans of the House of the Hearth have but you? It beggars belief just how nonchalant and carefree you have been. From the very beginning, you, the god Focalor, you have utterly failed to take action.
You're wrong. I've never ignored the prophecy, nor have I just been passing the time in self-indulgence. Retract your accusation and stop doubting the wisdom of the gods with such absurd conjectures!
I am not alone in my doubts, you know. All the children of... Oh, great Hydro Archon. How are you going to save them? Save us? How are the people you've sworn to protect supposed to survive in a land that will soon disappear?
I have my ways, and I've been working on them for all this time. Fontaine will be saved. Even if I still cannot see the true future right now, as long as I continue on as I am,
Then I ask you, Miss Furina, just what have you been working on?
My machinations are just like the prophecy itself. They will only reveal themselves at the fated time.
I see. As a god, the proof of your labor always lies beyond prying mortal up. Allow me to be so bold as to ask another way. Would it be possible for you to tell us the parts of your plan that are not confidential?
An emergency...
Oh, that look in your eyes.
The emergency response...
Then allow me to jog your memory. Miss Furina, and what do you plan to do with the massive amounts of indemnitium that has accumulated over the years?
The Oratrice? It's just like it appears to be.
So you also have no idea. If I'm not mistaken, someone's using it to prepare for something. But unfortunately, it would seem that someone is not... I first caught wind of this when Linny tried to investigate the Oratrice in the Opera House. You see, Even just getting close to the core contaminated him with an extremely large amount of indemnitium. But even if that had nothing to do with you, then what could you possibly be— Oh, right. I almost forgot. Udex Nouvillette is not at the tea party with us.
Yeah, yes, that's exact—
Of course I will. Although, I must say, Miss Furina, you seem quite— Oh, very well. Let's stop that conversation here. There are still a few slices of cake left, so Traveler, I heard that you were recently commissioned to handle a few matters on behalf of the Udex. Why don't you take an extra slice of cake? Those who— You too, Paimon.
Thank you, Paimon. Oh, Paimon's super—
If it's on my tea table, it must be of the highest—
You're welcome. I'm sure the cake also felt great. It is getting late. Why don't we call it a day?
Very well.
Mind seeing me off, Traveler? We could use the opportunity to discuss
Paimon's coming to—
I'm glad that you were willing to come with me. Of course, Childe was just an excuse. I have no interest in your dealings with him.
That's what Paimon thought.
You lent your aid to the children of the House of the Hearth. As their father, I would like to express my gratitude. Do I look like an irresponsible father to you? The House of the Hearth is very important to me. You should know that I care deeply about my children. That was all. Formal topics should be discussed in formal settings, and informal topics in informal settings. I know you just returned from the fortress of Meripede. Relax. I have no intention of trying to get anything out of you.
They've all been working very hard and have always done all they can to fight back against anyone who tried to stop them.
You mean Ridesley. He's a tricky one to deal with. It's unfortunate that Linny's so eager. By the way, and you can just consider this a bit of idle— You are outside of our disputes, and the freest person in all of Fontaine, able to move around most easily. Allow me to share my—
And that's everything that happened during the trial. Master Childe was declared guilty and immediately transported to the fortress of Meripede.
Didn't he say he was coming here on vacation? Does he not feel an ounce of shame for all the trouble he— Forget it. He did give us— I will be meeting someone shortly.
Do you require help with any preparation?
No need. I need to meet with Furina, the Hydro Archon. She is at the heart of Fontaine. But what's fascinating about her is that she often seems more like a celebrity than a working Archon.
Oh? Come over here, you little critter, you! You dare to run from me? Stop right this instant!
My goal is just to discover the location of the Gnosis. But I didn't expect the chance to approach Furina to be handed to me on a silver platter. This is so easy, it's actually making me a bit suspicious. Anything left unguarded is usually just bait. But no one will blame someone for taking the bait. After all, from the moment it was attached to the hook, the bait is meant to be sacrificed. It's just as I guessed in the second before I struck. The Hydronosis is not currently held by the Archon. In fact, this Archon doesn't seem like a god at all. And I sense that she's under some kind of curse.
Who are you? And what are you trying to do? Please don't kill me! I'm begging you, please!
The fear in her pupils is genuine, so perhaps she's not bait after all. Either way, targeting her has lost all meaning. I left the scene with ease. Nobody came looking for me, and nobody could serve as a witness to my near assassination of Focalor. I suspect even Furina dares not mention this incident to anyone. Not long after, my informants confirmed what I had guessed. After returning to her quarters, Furina quietly cried alone. She was so scared that she could not sleep that night, nor could she even bring herself to eat her cake. There's no doubt that there's something wrong with her. I began to entertain the possibility that she is not the true Hydro Archon. Perhaps Iudex Neuvillette is actually the genuine article. I have to find the Gnosis. If the Neuvillette hypothesis is correct, he is probably in possession of it. Alternatively, it might have been hidden in a place that's hard for ordinary people to access.
Yes, Father.
My dear children, please speak.
News from the fortress of Meripede. Master Childe has gone missing. On top of that, the contacts and guards we bribed at the fortress have all gone quiet as well.
Probably the handiwork of that Wriothesley.
I'm afraid so.
This is a good opportunity. The value of a harbinger is much higher than most would imagine. We now have an excuse to exert diplomatic pressure on the Fontaine authority. Set up a meeting for me. I would like to meet the Hydro Archon and Iudex Neuvillette. Oh, and I have an—
Yes, Father.
Tartaglia's disappearance was not a part of my plan, but I can use it to make a breakthrough. With this as my excuse, I can ask for an official audience and continue my investigation of Furina and Iudex Neuvillette. The initiative belongs to the House of the Hearth. My wish to investigate the fortress of Meripede will be a front. Linny and his group will be responsible for the actual intelligence gathering. You should know the rest. Linny's group is quite close to you, so they wouldn't have hidden anything from you.
You attacked the Hydro Archon?
It wouldn't mean anything, even if you shouted it from the rooftops. After all, even Furina herself is still pretending that nothing of that sort ever happened. I've now had 2 chances to enjoy tea with Furina. I have to say, the leadership of Fontaine is even more inscrutable than I had imagined. I once surmised that Iudex Neuvillette must be the Hydro Archon, but now I am a servant of Her Majesty the Tsaritsa. Over my years of service, I've learned how a real Archon conducts and carries themselves. Whether Iudex Neuvillette or Furina, neither fits the bill. It's hard to imagine either of them as the Archon. Of course, that is all just how I feel. Gut feelings often do not require justification. It is, however, quite amusing to me that after all my years working in intelligence gathering, I've come to realize I am at a complete loss regarding the identity of the god of the land of my birth. Don't you think Fontaine is quite intriguing? A catastrophe looms, yet many secrets have yet to rise to the surface. It looks like Fontainians will have no ultimately, though, one must survive in order to do anything else. Should the need arise, I would be happy to cooperate with you. You don't need to commit to anything right now, of course. I have a feeling that the situation will continue to evolve, and as your name is often connected with noble deeds, I'm sure we will work together someday. He certainly returned quickly. You must want to catch up with each other, so I'll leave you to him.